zeal. Full of loving kindness and compassion towards his recipient, how could he have the intention to kill? This is how generosity impedes immorality and gives rise to morality. By practicing generosity, all thoughts of miserliness are suppressed, and henceforth morality, patience, zeal and the other virtues are readily practiced. The gift of Manjusri. When Chu Che Li was once a bhiksu a long time ago, these are long kalpas. Having gone to a village to beg alms, he succeeded in filling his bowl with sweet cookies of 100 flavors. In the town, a little boy insistently asked him for one of these cookies, but Manjusri did not give him any. However, having come to a stupa of the Buddha, Manjusri took 2 cookies in his hands and said to the boy, "If you can eat one of these cookies yourself and give the other one to the Sangha, I will give them to you as a gift." They agreed, and the boy made a gift of 1 cookie to the Sangha. Then in the presence of Manjusri he received ordination and made the aspiration to become Buddha. This is how generosity can lead to obtaining morality and to making the decision to become Buddha. Therefore generosity gives rise to the virtue of morality. Finally, as reward for generosity, one obtains the fourfold offering, a fine kingdom, a good teacher, and one has no needs. Under these conditions, one easily keeps morality. Besides, as reward for generosity, the mind becomes gentle. The gentleness of the mind gives birth to morality. Thanks to this morality, one can maintain one's mind free of bad dharmas. For many reasons of this kind, generosity engenders the virtue of morality. 3. Generosity and the virtue of patience. How does generosity gives rise to the virtue of patience? 1. If the bodhisattva gives a gift and his recipient rebuffs him, either by asking for too much or by asking at an inopportune time, the bodhisattva has the following thought: "If I give gifts, it is to attain Buddhahood. No one forces me to give. Acting by myself, why should I get angry?" Having reasoned in this way, he practices patience. Thus generosity engenders the virtue of patience. 2. Furthermore, if the bodhisattva gives and his recipient becomes annoyed, the bodhisattva thinks in the following way: "At this moment I am giving my inner and outer wealth. I relinquished that which is hard to abandon. Then why should I endure vain insults? If I did not have patience, the gifts that I would be making would be impure." Giving without patience is to act in exactly the same way as a white elephant going to take a bath in the river who, as soon as he comes out, goes to roll in the dirt. Having reasoned in this way, he practices patience. For many reasons of this kind, generosity engenders the virtue of patience. 4. Generosity and the virtue of exertion. How does generosity engender the virtue of exertion? In making gifts, the bodhisattva always uses his exertion. Why? At the moment when the bodhisattva produces the mind of body for the first time, his resources are not great. And so, when he wants to practice the twofold generosity and gratify the wishes of all beings, since his resources are insufficient, he is forced to acquire wealth so as to give sufficiently. The Lives of Mahatyagavat 1. The Buddha Sakyamuni in one of his previous existences was a great physician king who healed all the sick people, not with pride or self-interest but with compassion for all beings. But as the sick were too numerous, he was unable to heal them all. He worried about the whole world and worry did not leave his mind. He died of sadness and was reborn in the heaven of the Tao Li gods. Then he thought, "Here I have become a god. But by enjoying the reward of my merits alone, I have not advanced." By his own means, he chose to die and renounced the divine longevity. He was reborn in the palace of the Naga king Pokiatura as Naga prince. When he was grown up, his parents loved him very much, but he resolved to die and gave himself up to the king of the golden-winged birds. The bird carried him away and devoured him at the top of a cottonwood tree. His parents wept, moaned and lamented. After his death, the Naga prince took rebirth in Jambudvipa as the crown prince of a great king. He was called Nengche and was able to speak as soon as he was born. He asked everywhere what wealth there actually was in the land so as to take it and distribute it as gifts. Frightened, the people avoided him and fled from him. Out of compassion and affection, his mother alone stayed to care for him. He said to his mother, "I am not a demon. Why do people run away from me? In my previous existences, I always loved to give and I surpassed everyone by my gifts." Hearing these words, his mother repeated them to people, and everyone returned. His mother raised him with love. When he had grown up, he gave away everything he possessed. Then he went to find his father and asked him for riches to distribute. His father gave him a portion, and he spent it also in liberality. Seeing how many people in Jambudvipa were poor and unfortunate, he still wished to give to them, but his wealth was not enough. He began to weep and asked people, "By what means could one get enough wealth for everyone?" The astrologers answered, "We have heard at one time that there is a cintamani. If one could get it, one could obtain all that one desires." Having heard these words, the bodhisattva said to his parents, "I want to go to sea to look for this cintamani on the head of the Naga king." His parents replied, "You are our only son. If you go down to the bottom of the sea, it will be hard for you to escape dangers. If we ever lose you, what is the use for us to live on? You must not go. In our treasury there is still some wealth. We will give it to you." The son replied, "Your treasury is limited, but my aspirations are limitless. I want to satisfy the whole world so that there will be no more needs. I would like to have your permission. If I can follow my original intention, I will satisfy everyone in Jambudvipa." Seeing the gravity of his resolve, his parents dared not hold him back and allowed him to depart. At this moment, out of respect for his great qualities, 500 merchants were very happy to follow him. Knowing the date of his departure, they assembled in the port. The bodhisattva, who had heard that there was a cintamani in the head of the Naga king Sagara, asked the crowd, "Does anyone know the way leading to this Naga's palace?" A blind man one named Cho, who 7 times previously had been on the high seas, knew the sea route in question. The bodhisattva asked him to accompany him. He answered, "I am old and my eyes have lost their light. Although formerly I went several times, today I can no longer go." The bodhisattva said, "If I am undertaking this journey now, it is not for myself. It is in the interests of all that I am going to look for. The cintamani. I wish to satisfy people so that their bodies have no more suffering." Then by means of a sermon on the path, the bodhisattva converted the old pilot. "You are a wise man, how could you deny that? How could my vow be accomplished without your help?" Dasa heard his appeal, warmly embraced the bodhisattva and said, "I will accompany you and set sail with you on the great ocean. As for myself, I will surely not return. You must gather my ashes and leave them on the island of golden sand that is in the middle of the great ocean." When the gear for the voyage had been gathered together, they cut the 7th anchor 1. The ship set forth, pitching and heeling, and arrived at the island of precious stones. The merchants argued about the 7 kinds of jewels and, when each had had enough, they asked the bodhisattva why he did not take any. The bodhisattva answered, "What I want is the cintamani, these jewels are impermanent.